Howdy y'all. Normally I would hop into an initial discussion on what level of experience I have with the sport represented here in real life, and the truth of the matter is, outside of swinging some punches at my older brother growing up, I don't really have any. Instead, I want to take a look at 3 of some of the best boxing games available in VR, and hopefully help you make the decision as to which one best fits your desire for realism, workout, or just wacky fun. There are a lot of games that focus on some type of boxing, like Challenge Box, which is a workout game, or Drunken Bar Fight, which is kind of a humorous fighting game. But today we are looking at boxing games that bring you into the boxing ring for some serious 1v1 action. Each of these is priced at a different point, so I want to emphasize that here. We will be looking at Thrill of the Fight, which rings in at $10 USD. Knockout League rings in at $20 USD. And Creed Rise to Glory rings in at a whopping $30 USD. No matter what, all 3 of these games are an absolute workout. After the first match for pretty much all of these games, I was already sweating through my headset. So let's just hop into some details on each. Thrill of the Fight approaches boxing in a no-frills attempt to bring you from the bottom of the boxing world all the way to the top. The environment is minimalistic with grays and dull whites characterizing the venues that you play in. Hitting, blocking, and dodging happen very smoothly across 3 rounds of play for each opponent, with the primary way bouts ending being scored by the judge for the most shots landed on the opponent's body, or in unfortunate circumstances, it may be vice versa. The game rewards quick reactions to openings with jabs to the face and hooks to the edge of the body. Blocking is not made easy, as the swings and jabs from your opponents aren't very exaggerated from how they might be in real life. Movement requires a very large play space. You need, a big empty room or garage in order to play this game, as there are no stick movement options, nor other advanced ways to move around the ring. It's just your feet. Not only that, but using the menu and starting matches requires you to move back and forth across the full breadth of the 2 meter by 1.5 meter minimum requirement set by the devs. That isn't even including the length of your hand beyond that threshold. A note for Quest users real quick. Much like myself, the bounding box on Rift and Steam VR don't work properly with the game and, that limitation that I was just talking about. So it may be important for you to have an even bigger space to handle the wonky setup should you buy on Rift and Steam VR. If you can, I would suggest buying the game on the Quest store when possible. That way you might be able to play the game if you just have that 2 meter by 1.5 meter space and nothing bigger. While Thrill of the Fight leans heavily into realism, Knockout League attempts to blend the pattern finding and reactions of Punch-Out style games along with the VR experience of workout and fist throwing. The world is very cartoony, and while many of the humans look fairly realistic, you can also find yourself facing off against a mad scientist with robo-legs and an anthropomorphic octopus. Each of these characters throws their own flurry of punches and will have 1 to 2 specific moves that you will need to learn how to detect and dodge in order to get through the rounds. The speed and precision of your punches do matter, but they hold less importance than the punches given in Thrill of the Fight or Creed. Movement is not something you'll be doing much of in this game, outside of just staying in place and bouncing on your feet. So there is no real concern here for play area space. The mannerisms of your opponent and the intense battle you're going through keep you interested and enjoying the fights, with all the fights ending pretty much in a knockout. Creed Rise to Glory does its best to find a middle ground between the 2 other games, but definitely finds itself closer to realism and physics and atmosphere. The graphics in this game are really quite good, and this allows the game to have dark backgrounds with your opponent and fighting space being a bright foreground. The story follows Apollo Creed's son as he moves up the ranks against better and better boxers. The match play is fun and fairly realistic, however there are definitely some minor delays and bigger punches from your opponents than would occur in real life. Movement can be largely handled from one spot on the floor, so there is no need for extra playing space. However, Creed has done something very unique by adding ways of moving your hands in different directions to allow advanced movement around the ring. I think this adds a very unique layer to the game and multiplayer. Most matchups will end in a knockout, so you're able to set a higher or lower level of endurance before a match by playing through a slew of mini games like running, speed bag, and heavy bag training. I actually think this is a very realistic way of approaching endurance, and it seeks to break the potential monotony of going into round after round after round. While Thrill of the Fight seems to bring you from street-type brawls up to higher skilled matchups, Creed immediately starts you out a bit like you are already known as a boxer, going against good people. In that way, Creed does get you a greater sense of accomplishment when you win each fight versus the others in comparison. Usually I would include a section that exclusively talks about multiplayer and the differences, but only Creed Rise to Glory offers any sort of multiplayer options. Creed allows you to play PvP against anyone else that has the game, so if you're one to enjoy games with friends, this is the game you want to be getting. However, don't be counting on a very populated general player base, as I tried a couple times to get a quick match without success. The tutorial for all of these games was a bit lacking. Thrill of the Fight doesn't even really have one, to be honest. Their approach is essentially to the effect of someone going into a boxing gym, hitting the equipment around, and then just entering for a fight. Although this method can work since, you aren't actually getting hit by someone in real life, I think it would have been worth the devs' time to do a bare bones teaching session on what types of punches there are and the effectiveness of speed versus precision in the game. A lot of the explanation is done by text walls that are available throughout, though. Knockout League and Creed both give a bare bones tutorial on how to hit, dodge, and block, but again, there's some information missing on what shots are especially effective and how different factors can affect the fatigue of yourself or your opponent. They did enough to get by, but I wanted more as time went on, and I wanted to do more advanced movements. One thing Creed holds over the heads of the other games here is that those endurance tests before each match that I talked about previously do a good job of increasing skills that the game finds important to winning matches. All of these had boxing mini-games or trainings, however you look to see it. Thrill of the Fight brought in typical training items that you would see in a boxing gym, such as a heavy bag, speed bag, reflex ball, and human punching mannequin. Although each of these has successive stats and information on rhythm, there isn't a lot that gamifies these items. They just are simply there. Creed offers something similar to that without the stats, however, it does gamify it a bit more with moving targets or goals that you need to hit when facing them. Both are effective, but Creed offers a bit more enjoyment for those not doing the drills out of pure dedication. Knockout League is the only one that brings minigames to life, but most of them are executed relatively poorly, with an exception of one that sends items out of cannons and you have to react accordingly, kind of a block, dodge, or hit situation. This can be played in endless mode and might give you more to do after 100%ing the campaign. The UI on these games all sucked in some way or another. There's no way around it. For Knockout League, I had to select certain items multiple times to get the selection to go through, though I will say the UI always looked clean and well organized. Creed worked smoothly, however, the quality of the UI graphics did not align itself well with the beautiful scenery that was in the game itself. Thrill had a robust and basic design, but I had to move around my play space in order to make selections. I know they expect you to do that in the game anyway, but I would have liked the ability to use a pointer. All three of these titles are excellent pieces of game development, and they all scratch certain niches. Amazingly enough, they are also all available on multiple platforms such as Steam VR, Rift, and Quest. All of them give great workouts and build similar muscles that one would when boxing in real life. So what is the real differentiator here? If you're a purist for real life physics and boxing, or just looking for a simple workout at an affordable price, make sure you have a solid 3 meter by 3 meter playing space with your arms stretched out, and then get Thrill of the Fight. If you find yourself desiring a throwback to the Punch-Out days or love the idea of beating up wacky cartoon characters while getting a workout in, then Knockout League is going to be your game. If you like fairly realistic boxing simulators defined by advanced movements without the need for a massive play space, and just want to get immersed into the feeling of getting in front of thousands of your fans or beating up on your friends virtually, then Creed is going to be your top pick. Please let me know your thoughts on this comparison in the comments below. Constructive criticism is always appreciated from y'all. Peace out. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate your time and viewership. If you would like to join the community, I host monthly VR tournaments and community nights in my Discord. I would love for you to stop by, say hi, and get involved. On top of that, we are always talking about new news and events in social and casual sport VR. I look forward to seeing you around.